Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Burmas' film that I produced, Fabled Enemies, details what really happened on 9/11 from all the evidence. My film Terror Storm also goes over it. The bare minimum, governments let this happen so they can take your rights, your freedom. Take the MIAC report we leaked that the military and police gave us. Take the Homeland Security report where it's really all set up for conservatives, libertarians, Bob Barr, Ron Paul, get us out of the UN stickers or demonized. What do you think of hearing that in the news, that most of Homeland Security and domestic operations now is focused on conservatives? I mean, the public's told this is all for Al-Qaeda, and then the whole thing's set up for the American people. Colonel Shaffer.
Well, I got to tell you, I believe most of the measures which have been put in place to include, the concept of the body scanner and a lot of those stuff, and frankly, and we talked a bit about on the break about the scanner supports. I got to tell you, most of the stuff is proven, if you look at the scientific evidence, to not really be all that effective, but we spend tons of money. I actually attended a hearing a while back on the backscatter devices that they put in the ports, and the fact that they had to report, the Department of Homeland Security had to report, they're not really working. And their something called ASP. And, of course, their answer was, we need more money. If you give us another, $100 million, well, the manufacturer thinks they'll fix it. And that's part of the problem. I think almost the government becomes a patsy, if you will, for corporate America, because a lot of these companies have huge amounts of resources invested. Raytheon, Boeing, some of the other big companies, I'm not trying to single them out, but I'm just saying that a lot of companies do benefit very much by investing in these technologies, and my problem with the process, obviously, as someone who, I'm a think tank guy, is that they don't really work. And my belief is good money after bad is a key indicator of a lack of accountability. You've got to be honest. You've got to stand up at some point and say, it ain't working. We've wasted all this money. You got to stop. We got to take a different course. And this is where we have problems all throughout the system, lack of accountability. And again, and this is indicative of the fact that we almost had a Northwest airliner brought down by the fact there's no accountability.
Colonel, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we've only got 6 minutes left with you. Yeah. You've agreed to come back on in the near future. Sure. And we want to give out any websites, any other information you want to give here at the end. But let me go back to 9/11 briefly. Here's CBS News. Hijackers lived with FBI informant. Just going to throw that out. And they were ordered to stand down, not just you. This is Newsweek. Exclusive. The informant who lived with the hijackers. Here's another one. Newsweek. Alleged hijackers may have trained at U.S. bases. Then we get, in the Associated Press, the colonel, head of the Monterey Defense Language School, saying, look, some of these guys were at our base. We have Springman, the head of the U.S. Embassy section in Saudi Arabia, being ordered to let them in, even though they were on watch list. And he was told later, oh, that was part of secret training. They were our operatives. So we have all of that. You add all of this together. What can you tell us about talking to other colleagues about hijackers being allowed in and out of the country, being protected, not acting in a very Muslim extremist fashion with all the whores and drugs and topless bars, the FBI living with them, Israeli intelligence following them around? What was really going on here in the U.S.?
Well, again, I got to be careful to limit myself to my direct knowledge, and I'll add to the pieces that I have. I'll be happy to add the pieces. I don't want to comment on other people's information. I can tell you this for a fact, Alex, is the fact that during the data mining phase of Able Danger, Al-Qaeda cells were discovered. And the fact that they were discovered was haunting. A lot of folks were shocked that the information that we'd had uncovered as a team indicated that they were active cells. This is not like just, people who are sleepers. These are active cells doing things. And the appearance was that they were active. They weren't sleeper. They were active. They were doing
They were preparing for something.
Exactly. So that information was passed forward. And there's good evidence now from a friend of mine who did some research that the information that we came up with was reported to President Clinton in the Millennium Bomber Report. One of the things that was disclosed that Sandy Berger was after was copies of the Millennium Bombing Report. And within that report, that was well prior to 9/11, was within that report, and this is reported in John Ashcroft's book. I don't remember the name of the book off the top of my head, but John Ashcroft actually admits that there was information in the Millennium Bomber Report relating to Al-Qaeda cells, active cells, being found found in the United States. So, we believe, based on the evidence we have, that that was our gig. That was able danger. And obviously, at that level, you don't call things by its operational name. But we believe that information regarding what was in the Millennium Report that went from Ashcroft to President Clinton was the able danger information.
And it was so damning that Berger broke national security laws. He could have gone to prison for life to stick it in his underwear and socks to get it out of there.
That's correct, yes. So that is, right, in my judgment, telling by the fact that, we did discover these guys. It was hugely bad for a lot of folks. And one of the other controversial points I've been told about lately, and this is, I think, new for everybody, one of the things my colleagues have told me is the moment that happened, there was consideration of allowing Special Operations Command to go do some stuff, in the United States, and that was hugely controversial. And I think that's one of the other things they don't want to have talked about is the fact that, some people, to include myself, felt that, look, if these guys are operating here, we need to do something sooner than later. And if we're in the best position to do something, let us do it. And that was hugely unpopular for any number of reasons. Posse Comitatus and all those other restrictions, which I understand why they exist. I support them. But clearly, we had discovered that there were active cells within the United States. And just so everybody understands, this is not new. Eric Kleinsmith, who was the actual analyst who discovered this stuff, testified in front of Senator Alden Specter on this point in August of 2005, I believe.
Well, you've told us some new things, and you're getting, hopefully, security clearance for your book coming out in the early summer, perhaps even late spring. But in the last minute we've got, what can you give us foreshadowing on that is new that's coming out?
Well, I think, just speaking in the general situation right now, you've got the problem with people like Brennan, who have been part of the bureaucracy for the entire time. Don't forget, Alex, no one was ever held accountable for 9/11. And I look at Mr. Brennan doing what he's doing right now, akin to Bernie Madoff being brought back to investigate the damage he caused with his Ponzi scheme. It's ludicrous. So what we got to do, if we only focus on one core issue, that issue needs to be accountability. If you can't do the job, you need to be replaced.
Exactly. Regardless of what happened, we know they screwed up. We know they knew beforehand and let it happen. Bare minimum, for whatever reason, why are they now back in charge, getting away with everything? Yes. And why do you get rewarded for failure? And then people that actually did a good job like yourself, no one denies you did a great job. You're being persecuted for trying to kill Osama bin Laden if he supposedly, is the guy over at Al-Qaeda that was involved in all of this. And now we see more and more of this used to take our liberties and our freedom. And again, on record, you do want a new investigation of 9/11.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I publicly supported the NICAN call for a new investigation. And I don't agree with everything that all the movements stand for out there. I think the one common issue, Alex, we all agree on, we need a new investigation. We need to really turn over all the rocks, get to the real bottom, an independent commission, not consisting of people who have agendas, to sit down to go through everything in detail for a full accounting. And frankly, people need to be fired if they fail to conduct themselves in accordance with their oath of office. So, absolutely.
Is there a website yet for the Dark Side of the Force, the book coming out in the summer?
No, there's not. But what you can do is, I'm a senior fellow with the Center for Advanced Defense Studies, C4ADS.org. We do a combination of studies on technology and policies relating to defense. I do a lot of, they're the think tank I belong to. And obviously I'll come back with you when we do have more information about the book. And I look forward to chatting with you guys in the future as things develop.
Well, I'm flattered that you read InfoWars, Colonel. How long have you been checking that out?
Since it was one recommended to me very early on when I joined Facebook last year. So I'm a fan of it. So I look at it all the time.
Well, thank you so much, Colonel. And we look forward to reading your new book and look forward to having you back on. Be safe, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
You bet. Goodbye. Okay. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Talking to that guy off air is interesting. I mean, he hadn't told me anything secret or anything. He just certainly is telling you as much as he can. And he likes what we do. He likes the films and the material and the information. And what does that tell you? A big black op commander telling you they could have wiped out every one of the supposed al-Qaeda commanders long before 9/11, and they weren't allowed to. And neither was the FBI here in the U.S., and Israeli intelligence was literally handling them, all over them. The FBI was all over them. It looks, from the best we can tell, with the 7/7 bombings and with the 9/11 operations and with the underwear bomber, they get useful idiots who think they're part of drills. And in some cases, they get real terrorists who are being handled by international crime syndicate, private networks, mole operators, who allow them to carry out these attacks. And then some events are completely staged, like Gulf of Tonkin, that didn't even happen, and they just say, oh, we got to go to war.